Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming here today to learn more about the power of sisterhood, to help us overcome biases and create a more inclusive tech. So today you are hosted by a group of volunteers, passionate volunteers. We have the Lean In Portugal team. We have Adriana, Neta, Annie, and Alexia you will be doing some circles with them. And we also have international leaders coming today to help. So we are walking the talk on the power of sisterhood. And we are lucky to have Melissa, Barbara, Alba, and Magda. Melissa is from the Netherlands, founder of Lean In Netherlands. We have founder of Lean In Germany, Barbara. For the ones in the Middle East, we have Alba leading Women in Tech, and we have Magda from Dublin, who is a Women in Tech mentor. Future Lean In lead. We are hunting her. So the objectives for today is basically for you to feel the power of sisterhood, to experience, to empower you, to bring that to wherever you are, to your community, to your work, to the world, and share all the knowledge so we can overcome bias together. So we are going to give you an experience of how bias work and how they show up and what some of the things you can do to overcome them. So first of all, what is bias? For the ones that have been leaning, you might have heard of the Heidi Howard case from Columbia Business School. And this is a perfect example of how bias, unconscious bias, show up. So what happened is that Heidi Rosen is a very famous VC, an ex-Apple entrepreneur, so big resume. She basically, when they gave her resume to a group of students in Columbia Business School with her real name, and then they put the name Howard, and half of the students got the resume, the same one, but used the name change. What do you think the results were? Anyone? So what happened is that they both were rated as equally competent, but Howard was seen like a guy you like, that you want to spend time with him and hang out with him. However, Heidi was rated as selfish, aggressive, and someone you might not want to work with or for. We're talking about the same resume. You're just changing the name. So this is one of the ways that bias show up. And that class was made of women and men. So we all fall on the trap. So there is a very interesting European study about the state of tech. And there was this question there. So how would you say having a diverse team is a benefit to everyone, to a company performance? How many men do you think that agree with this statement? Nice? Any numbers?
I want to hear from you.
And what about women? Yeah? Well, 90% more or less agree. Women, you can see, is a bit higher, but it's more or less the same. So everyone agrees that having a diverse leadership team will increase the bottom line. Okay. So this is the number. So if everyone agrees that diversity and inclusion is good, why do we need a Women in Tech conference? Okay, the thing is this study, the state of European tech, they were not looking for gender. It's not about gender, it's about tech. Okay? So the first key finding is about how well the European tech ecosystem is doing. How many millions, billions are being invested for IPOs, for tech companies went IPO in 2018. So it looks really, really good. The second key finding is how bad we are doing in diversity and inclusion. And this is in Europe. Only 93% of the VC funding went to male teams. That leaves 7% to teams with at least one woman and 2% with all female women. So from this 90% of agreement on diversity and inclusion to these numbers, there is obviously something happening. It's happening, and we need to find out what is happening, and we need to fix it. Because it's not only good for us, as we say, it's about company performance. So, bingo! Young white male, you get the money. So what Lean In is doing, Lean In is passing it's not talking anymore, it's doing. It's about doing, it's passing the narrative, right? So what they are doing is they are doing research. We are gonna go through some numbers later, and they're using this research to create initiatives that are impactful. And we are gonna go through some of the initiatives as well, and we are gonna share with you later a link where you can have access to the presentation, and you can also have access to some links. We will follow up and we'll send you the links where you can find all the information about the resources. And then the circles, which we also will experience here today. Later on, we will divide you in a we have the leaders I present you before in the picture, and then we will divide you in small groups. We will change the chairs and experience the power of the circle. So this is the research I was talking about from Lean In. As you can see, this is the entry level, right? So the blue part is men, and the lighter color is woman. It looks more or less the same. There's not such a big difference. But look at this drop. It looks not that big, but actually it carries on to the point where in the C-suite the percentages are crazy, and it all starts here. So what they have found is that is on the first step for promotion to manager, where woman doesn't get the promotion as fast as men, and that's what causes the numbers to exponentially go negatively for the amount of women that make it to the C-suite. So, yes.
Are these numbers for US or?
These are US, yes. These are US. This is the woman in the workplace from the US, but there are also some UK studies. We don't have one in Europe yet, which is something we wanna push for. But that's what I was using the European Tech study, because it's the data we have from here. So basically what this research shows is, like, we talk a lot about the glass ceiling, but it's not about the glass ceiling. It starts so much earlier. It starts on the first promotion to manager. So this is what we need to work on right now, to get more women promoted so we can fill up those numbers in the future. The general numbers, this is a general number from the UN Women. Globally, women are paid 23% less, and they only hold 15% of the board seats. Also, it doesn't affect only business or tech. It affects every single industry, with only 4% of movies, top grossing movies, being filmed by women. And it's not only also in art, but it's also on science. We only have 15% of the global awards being given to women, or being awarded to women. So it affects everyone in every single industry. It's not only tech. So this is data from the US. Equality, you can see in the middle. So we still have a lot of work to do. And as you can see, from the managerial level, it start breaking apart. The results, only 1 in 5 C-suite leaders is a woman in the States. And if you're a woman of color, things are even more difficult. 1 in 25. Funny fact, there are more CEOs called Dave in the UK, top 100, than females. And if you check on the Fortune 500, there are more CEOs called John than female. So, we have to take this with a bit of humor, because it's the only way, right? But yeah, how many of you have experienced to be the only woman in the room? Raise your hands. Okay. So what I'm going to tell you about this, right? The studies, what I know is that I know for experience, but I've been reading a lot about this, and the study says that women that are the only on the room, they tend to experience more microaggressions, like being talked over, like small things, not giving credit or not taking into consideration. what I'm gonna tell you, right? And they think about leaving their job more often, like twice as much as women, not being only one. So this research is what make us say, okay, let's bring the power of sisterhood. Let's get these only women to have a peer support network where they can get the support that they might not find every day at work, that they have that network. So at this rate, it's going to take 200 years to close the gender gap. We are looking for explanations, right? So we hear, oh, women are leaving, they want to have kids, so they don't ask for it. That's not true. The research also shows that women are not leaving. They are living at the same rate as men, and they are asking, they are just not getting it. So we are doing our part. We are stepping up, but the system is failing us. There is something missing. There is one part missing. And we are not here today to point fingers and to look for who is guilty, to blame the government, or blame the company, or blame men in general. We are here to do something about it because it starts with the self-work and self-awareness, and then moving things forward and doing things as well for everyone. So let me ask you something. What percentage of women do you think that got negative feedback on their personal style? Like, sometimes you might be abrasive. Numbers? Anyone want to say some numbers? And what percentage of men?
20.
Wow. Yes. So even when I was researching with you sometimes are aggressive. 75. Like there was this study about written feedback at work. The feedback you get from managers, and the women tend to get more general feedback than men. Men get more specific, and they get on the personal style. So you are more aggressive, you are too aggressive. 75% of the written feedback contained that. 75% women got told they were too aggressive. 25% of men got told you are too aggressive. Actually, it's the opposite. They got told that you need to be more aggressive. So this is another of the ways that bias shows up. It's totally unconscious. There are stereotypes, and we are expected to behave in a way. So that's why Lean In came up with the 50 ways to fight bias after a lot of research. There are a set of cards that is like kind of a game where you have these questions, and when you get the answer, you're like, wow. And then the videos, which I really recommend you to watch, is 12 minutes. And we actually shared it. I work on a tech company, so I shared with my colleagues at work, and they were kind of shocked. So, my second.
Can I just ask,
For what?
women in tech or women in aggressive?
No, that was general. That's general. I don't have data for women in tech only. There are not many studies about women. Actually, that's another thing. I'm back. That's another thing that I found out is that the amount of studies about women is really limited. So I learned a lot doing hard research about this presentation. I already knew a lot of things, but I wanted to be prepared, and I was really shocked with the numbers. But definitely, that's one of the things we want to push for, is to have more European-based and tech-based about gender. I think it's really important to have the data so we can talk about it. As I was saying, the videos are highly recommended. 12 minutes. I was saying I shared it with my team at work, and they love it. And the guys, especially, they were very reflective. And one of them wrote, like we have like an internal chat, and one of them wrote, saying like, oh. I always had in mind racial bias because his wife is a woman of color and his kids are mixed. So he always was very aware of those biases and making sure he would control that and keep people around. But he didn't realize about the gender one. So he was saying like, from now on, I'm gonna make sure I'm more aware about gender bias and I do my part. So I was really positive sharing this with the team. So about bias. Bias is not limited to gender. As I say, it can be about race, background. It can be about nationality, religion. And it's not only women or men also suffer bias. And we all fall into the trap. So sooner or later, you're going to catch yourself saying something or doing something, and then you're going to be, oh my God, this is showing up. It's so unconscious. And that's why studies should be anonymous. So when you talk about bias or something you experience, it's better to keep the names away, because we are here to learn, and we are here to also teach other people, right? To help them getting better, not to make them feel bad. That's why we give everyone the benefit of the doubt and we help them learning. Some of the most common bias are the likability bias, which we already mentioned with the Heidi Howard. That was really obvious. We have performance bias. We have maternal bias, which we'll cover now very soon. Attribution bias is very linked to performance. Affinity, which is basically you gravitate towards people that look similar to you by nature, right? So if you have a lot of white male in C-suites, guess what? They will mentor white male and they will want around people that look like them. And then you have double discrimination and intersectionality, which is, for example, women of color or Muslim women that are Muslim. So they suffer, and that compounds actually. So let me ask you something. When 1 in 10 seniors are a female, what percentage of male think that women are well represented? And what percentage of women think that this is well represented? Okay, it's 45% of men and 28% of women think they are well represented. So this make us think that it's not malice or anything. They just don't see a problem. So why people is going to do something about a problem that doesn't exist? This is a narrative we hear a lot. There's no problem. There are women. There are a lot of countries ruled by women. Well, not that many when you see. Yes, there are a few, but there are 195 countries. So what to do in this case? This is one of the examples for the 50 ways to fight bias. It's like point out at the numbers and the data, right? So you can say something like, it is great to have those women in those positions. However, we are 50% of the population, so there should be more women, and they are actually underrepresented. So what we can use data to point and make people conscious. They are unconscious, they don't see the problem. Why it happens? Well, as I was saying, generations of inequality, women usually take a different role, they stay at home. We're still fighting against that. It's not that long that women can vote and the women are part. So there's still a long way ahead. And making people conscious of their bias is a really good way to start that work. Other example, maternity, as I was saying. What would you do if a man in your company is taking his entire paternity leave and some people start complaining about it? Well, again, point out why it matters. Everyone has the right to take their allotted leave, and actually when men doesn't take it, that affects women, because we feel like, how am I going to take it if they are not taking it, right? So it's about equality, and actually everyone has the right to take care of their loved ones. And the other fact is very important, is that will impact positively to the company, because people become more loyal, they are happier, and then they're more productive. So it's a win-win. Again, it happens because of stereotypes. So women are supposed to be more committed to the children, and men are supposed to be committed to careers. And those are expectations. Again, these are the shortcuts that we fall on. So now we move to the Lean In circles. This is what we are trying to create, is safe spaces for women where they can be ambitious, they can learn new skills, and the most important for me personally is about finding that peer support. And it's the antidote to the only one experience. So for example, like research shows that we accomplish more in small groups, and that's why the circles are usually 8 to 12. Today we are going to have maybe a bigger circles. But then 86% of people that experience the circles, they feel more prepared to ask for a raise, to negotiate salary. They feel more comfortable, more confident. I'm one of those persons, and I joined a circle when I was in Dubai, living there, and it changed everything for me. It changed completely the way I perceive women, especially. Like when I realized that women are not competition, they're my sisters, and when I got that, I get goosebumps. But seriously, when you create that safe space where you can really connect with people at a deeper level, it's life-changing. You're going to experience this today, and it's a win-win, right? So when women rise, everyone wins. The bottom line increases. There is more benefits for the company. So it's not about women fighting for women. It's that everyone pulls. So we're going to experience the power of circles now. The circle fundamentals are three. First of all, confidentiality. So what happens in the circle stays in the circle. Why we say this is because if we want to have a proper communication, we need to be honest and we need to be open. And for that, you need to feel safe. You need to trust the people in your circle. And you need to be there. And also it's about communication is not only one way. It's you talk, but you listen. And you have to be present for others. You have to be there and support your peers. So we ask you to please be present and listen with your heart. Try not to be judgmental, and just try to learn. You might not agree with everything that the other person say, but it might wake you up things in you that you didn't realize before. So it's a beautiful experience. So what is going to happen now, we are going to move the chairs. We have 8 leaders, including me. 7. Okay, good. So we are going to divide you into 7 groups. So let me explain. First group, with this row, we are going to put your chest looking to the other side here, the same there, looking that direction. And the next row, please, we are just going to kind of make the circle shape. Then the last groups can go to the back. There are already 2 circles, so you don't have to move your chest. And the ladies who are in the middle, so these 2 rows and these 2 rows will stay here. And the last 2 rows will go to the back. So the ones in the middle, we are going to create some more circles here. The leaders will come and guide you now. Okay? And then after we finish, we are going to wrap up, and I'm going to share with you the link for the resources.
With a bigger of 16 chairs. When it's too full, we create another one.
So 14, it should be around 14 to 15 people per group. So if you feel like you are a lot in one corner, go and look for your leaders. The ladies on the picture. wait for the next person to finish, but it's very self-moderated decision. So we are more